everyone. I am your host, Markeia McCarty, here at Hunters Entertainment. And right now, we will be going into a deep dive with an altered carbon character creation with the co creator of Hunters Entertainment, Ivan Van Norman, who we are seeing right now, who I who I had to watch this entire time while I was doing my
This is
intro.
really just a second interview, Markeia, because if I can make you break on camera, ooh, uh,
You know
that's a,
what? I
that's a,
gave you that, so
see,
that doesn't count as a break.
I handed that to you. That's
Just
good. It's a
saying
good
right
pivot.
now.
It's a
Just
little,
saying
little,
right now.
little pivot.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
you ready to
we've
make
worked
a
together
character?
a number of years. I gave you that.
Yeah, okay. What'd you give me? You gave me a giggle, or did you give me
I gave you
validation?
I gave you a
Oh, that.
but I'm very happy to have you here for this character creation
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
fine. Let's make a character.
That
All
we're
right,
gonna do for Alter Carbon.
we're gonna do
And the
it.
reason that we're doing this is because on our Discord, our beautiful community like asked for this. And we were looking at the numbers with everything, and it seemed to be like a number of people were gravitating towards the pre-gens because sometimes like the crunching of the numbers seems to be a bit much. So we were like, hey, we got you, and we're going to do this right now. And not only are we going to do this, we're going to do this with co-creator Ivan Van Norman, who's going to be totally serious
We got this.
about
It's gonna be
this.
fun. No, I
Totally.
serious, and because I know a lot of people, character creation. This is a lot. Like
It's
this is not a
it is.
standard.
It is.
This is not like a standard pick up and play kind of an RPG. And the reason that is because we wanted to introduce a lot of agency in a neo noir cyberpunk world, and we knew that we didn't want it to be like we knew we didn't want it to be such a deep dive, but in a world in which there are so many games that you can pick up and play, still being able to have agency over creating like a neo noir character, and then also being able to still grab something. Because honestly, once you've made a character in this game, it is not difficult to keep going into it, and all of the resources are in the book, and that's the thing. So these video tutorials are frankly like very helpful to be able to kind of get into that stage where we can actually make those conversations happen. So to start, Markeia, since I
Oh
know
yes.
it is
Oh.
always about, well, what does Markeia want to play? Would you
Oh.
draw my character, Mr. Caleb Cleveland? Yes, let's talk about the Markeia. um for real, what do you like, what like when you read the book, watch the show, or just understand the world of neo noir cyberpunk? Like, what really draws you? What do you like in
Oh
that
my
kind of
goodness.
a world theme space?
I love villains. I
You love what?
love villains.
Villains. Got
Love
it.
villains. I love playing villains. I love the origin stories of villains. I love villains that turn into heroes and then turn back into villains.
Oh man,
I
Kovac is
literally,
nothing but an anti-hero villain at this stage. He is the biggest goddamn anti-hero you can possibly imagine. So I get you.
wow. Yes. And something that I particularly love about this dynamic that comes to Altered Carbon is that you can play a villain and get re-sleeved. And it's like eventually your past will catch up to you, but you
Hmm.
can be whatever you're going to be within that sleeve. Maybe you're sleeved into a nun, and
Yep.
you're like,
Yeah.
I'm a nun now. People
a
know
neo C,
me
a neo
as
C
a nun.
who has a checkered past that has so much associated. Because if there's anything that this game will teach you is that you cannot judge a book by its cover, right? You cannot judge a person by their sleeve, which is still tough because we are such trusting people, even just looking on you as a face value, right?
Yeah.
Um,
You
so
literally judge a character by their character. You judge a character by their character. You judge a character by their
yep,
content.
by their
Um,
content.
but but to add an extra layer to this for our chat room that is right here in Twitch, the character that we are going to build tonight, that I'm going to build with co-creator. I'm sorry, wait, co-creator Ivan Norman. You're different on my screen here than you. Wait. Okay, this way. Thank you. By co-creator Ivan Norman. I'm on a delay with everything that I'm doing right now. Um, uh, uh, but with this, I will play this character for our altered carbon. Yeah, for our altered
Dude,
carbon.
that's right. That's the whole point of this, is that
That's
you're
the
actually going to
whole
take this
point.
into your actual stream. Okay, so
Yeah,
then we have to do a
yeah.
little bit of a
So
spoilers as well too, because we
I
were going
need
to
I
have
need for the chat room to help me with this.
copy
Also,
that.
I want
Okay.
this interactivity here. When we go through things, I
Mm-hmm.
need your input.
Well, then
So
I'll let you be able to carry. I'll let you kind of guide and carry what you would like to hand over to the chat and what you'd like to hand over, because it's my job to basically just take you through the process. Is what.
we have the co-creator of like altered carbon RPG at our fingertips. Revel in this with me.
Revel in the process. Great.
Let's
Okay.
do this.
Well, then in this circumstance, then what we're going to do is, in altered carbon, you basically have 6 stats. 4 of those are mental stats that are associated with your stack, and your stack is your DHF, your digital human freight, that is makes up everything that's part of your personality, right? And then in the same point, you've got 2 physical stats, strength and perception. So you basically, your body is broken down into strength and perception, but your DHF, your actual personality is broken down into empathy, willpower, acuity, and intelligence. And the difference between, and people ask this all the time, what's the difference between acuity and intelligence? Is acuity is what you observe outside of your perception. So your perception is what your physical eyes can see, but acuity is what your mental capacity can observe on something. So there's someone who can be acute, who can observe something and infer. And this is a lot of like when they talk about envoy intuition in the show and in the book, when you have intuition that you can see something and you put things together and you're not even thinking about it. That's acuity. Versus your
Like passive
intelligence.
perception.
It's a like, yes, but it's a passive perception in the sense that when you think of passive perception, you're like, oh, I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. Bloop, I saw it, right? Because I'm I'm taken aware of it. What I mean when I talk about acuity is that you see a footstep on the floor and you realize that without even thinking about it, that it's a size 12 boot that was made by this company,
Ooh.
right? So that's what acuity looks like. That's not an intelligence thing. An intelligence thing can just be like, okay, if I look at this boot and I know what it is, or at least I know who manufactured to put it all together. Acuity is being able to take observations and infer results from those, which is why things like digital analysis, mechanics, pilot, data engineering, investigation, which in a neo noir, noir being the key word there, like acuity
Mhm.
is its entire stat, because acuity, okay, so here's one breakdown. Acuity is your Sherlock Holmes attribute.
I call it the Catherine Zeta Jones, but you can call it Sherlock Holmes.
Okay,
Sounds
sure.
good.
I
Yeah.
don't, I don't know what you
Just
mean by
going
Catherine
from
Zeta-Jones, but that's cool. We'll go for it.
just going from like Ocean's movies where she was the daughter of a thief and then also was a federal agent that was trained to look for thieving methods. So she grew up knowing thieving and all everything that had to do with that, and along with being a detective in her own right.
Right.
I would totally take a spinoff with that, but also for those out there, yes, Sherlock Holmes.
Well,
For
that's
me, it's Catherine Zeta-Jones,
for
but
you. It's
yes,
whatever you get into it. And to answer
Sherlock
Caleb
Holmes.
in the chat as well too. Yeah, physically blind, that's not even a bad thing, because you could be technically AI, which is physically blind in so many ways, and you're just bringing in sensory input. So you don't technically have eyes in which to speak of, but you can have a high acuity. You know, if you're either playing as an AI or if you are currently spun up in a synthetic, which, by the way, may have really bad software when it comes to its ocular perceptions. So anyway,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
so. Before we get into any of that, we need to make a decision about the archetype, the type of character that you want to play. And Altered Carbon has lots of different archetypes, and there's no
Tell
like,
us these archetypes. And then also
yes.
JB, our tech wizard, if you can scroll those for us for these wondrous archetypes that we have to choose for altered carbon for our character. And while you are doing that, I'm going to address the question from Rat with Wings. I thought Catholics had a resleeving exemption, or am I thinking the wrong book?
Resleeving exemption.
You know what? Because
Oh no, no, you're right. Catholics
Catholics,
have a resleeving exemption. So what they do,
yeah,
and when you're a neo C and when your DHF is been coded neo Catholic, you are. There is a law, at least in Bay City, which is where the altered carbon world took place, and whether
yeah.
this is a general rule of all of the UNF, the United. Wow. Okay. The wow. Hello.
It's okay if you don't remember the exact
United
word.
Protectorate, yes, the
Okay.
Protectorate. So whether this is a protectorate law or just a local law, but they did make it so that if you have a religious coding on your stack, you are, it is illegal to spin you back up because neo Catholics in the world of altered carbon have put a firm foot down to say that re-sleeving destroys the soul. You can no longer go to heaven
Whoa,
should you respin me back
that's
up.
so messed.
Yeah. So
So messed.
that's kind of this technology was put into place, and they strongly are against it. On and the crazy part is too is that neo Cs aren't the only ones, but like Hindu with
Mm.
reincarnation, there is inference in the books that do say that neo Catholics aren't the only one who've rejected cortical
Yeah.
stack technology.
And when I say that so messed, I say that in the sense of like this technological world that
Right.
is done outside of religious sensibilities. So to have it where if you interact with this, which could be for people like getting the newest iPhone
Right.
type of a deal,
Yeah.
or having, that's mess where it's like, you know what? No.
Yeah, it is actually
No,
against my
no.
religion to pick up the new iPhone, you know. But the new
Exactly.
iPhone doesn't necessarily re-sleeve you into a new body as well
Yeah,
too. But
this
that is
it's a whole different thing, but I'm just saying, like in my first guttural instinct, where it's just like, oh, that's mess.
no,
Oh,
it's true because there's also a place too. It's like, and you think about an inference. So another thing that I love talking about when I talk about altered carbon is that projecting yourself into a space in which this world can exist. So altered carbon takes place about you know around anywhere from 100 to you know 200 years in the future, right? Or actually 300 years in the future. By the time you're getting into the world of the first books, you're about 300 years in the future, 350, you know. And if you think about where we were 350 years ago, like it was the 1700s 300 years ago. The 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 United States as a nation was just going through the process of becoming its own country, and we were with muskets, and we were on boats. Like that's the level of technology that we were in 300 years ago. So when you think about 300 years from then to now, like technology could be anywhere. It could be absolutely anywhere. So you don't have to necessarily do like a near future mind thinking about it, like these kind of capacities of like everything's the same but also different. Because there's obviously a lot of things that we share in the modern world, but also now with the 1700s as well too. In spread of information. Yeah, and then also introducing alien tech as well too, because
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where the cortical
yeah.
stacks came
Absolutely.
from. Is their hardcore alien tech. Oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, we're visiting new worlds as well too, right?
Yes. Literally, like the universe is no longer a locked gate
Yep.
for us as a society. When you look up at the constellations, these are places that you could actually visit. And like it expands the human awareness beyond our personal planet type of a deal. And I love what Caleb is drawing. Hey, Caleb, brought up, you can be physically blind but have high acuity,
Right.
question
Yeah.
mark. Yeah, the what I imagine with resleeving, it isn't it isn't about you know ableism, and the fact that it's like, oh, there's this issue that is part of your life,
Right.
and then it's that, oh, you can receive into another individual. It's not that.
It-
That's kind of like, that's one of the things what when I was in the personal the first play test with Ida.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the crazy part about this as well, too, because there's two major parts of this, right? The first one is that in the series, they establish right off the bat that Earth, where Bay City is inside of, and compared to the rest of the known universe and the other different worlds that are in place, Earth is considered a backwater. All right. It's considered like a
It's Florida.
it's it's a behind the times old mentality. It is a place in which something like, and I in my mind, and like it's a place where ableism can still technically exist because it still is just so backwards, and also because the style of economy in Earth, since they're off world, is still the rich get rich and the poor are poor, and that valley is so wide now because of things like cortical stack technology and the Methuselians who like rule above it from their corporations, right? But who knows what's going on in some of the other colonized worlds? The other colonized worlds could be a flat out utopia in which, gender, race, bodies, none of it matters because just pop over. Like, I mean, for all I know, we could have an entire shared economy system in which sleeves are being used for the betterment of everybody. Unlike Earth, in which you're like, oh, you got blown up in a car accident, well, we've got this guy on ice. I guess you can have them, and then we're going to charge you for it because we're a fucking corporation, right? That's where those are the stories that are interesting. Like talking about a utopian world in which everything is going really well and everything is fine. There's no drama there, right? There has to be problems that which have to exist. But I feel like this is a world in which both of those things can live in. So someone can have the needs and wants and desires to go off world because it's a better life out there because Earth is a backwater podunk planet, but also deal with all of the drama of the fact that, like, okay, well, there's billions of people on this planet still. I don't have the money to needle cast off world. I got to do it the best what I can. In fact, if anything, if I got to shank a few folks in order to get the money I need in order to get off world, I'm going to do it. You know, those are the things that make strong drama in a role playing game.
Yeah. And then for me personally, with like the whole Florida reference, um,
Sorry
um,
for everyone who lives in
uh,
Florida, by the way.
no, 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 no. There's no apology that needs to be made there. Later part of middle school, high school, and then also college, with Florida, uh, type of thing, and my family still lives there. My main point was ableism in general, and it's one of the things that I enjoy about this game is just, it's just like, it's not about trying to make it be like, oh, you can jump into this, you can jump into this, you can jump into that, because that's not something that you can literally do depending on, it's like capitalism is strong in this.
Yep.
Also, it's like, what, how much money does your character have? What is the psychological impact of your character? Are they a soldier where they can take jumping into another body, type of a deal? It's not necessarily everything that you see in the Netflix version
Right.
of
The next one version is, I like to say that watching the Netflix show, going into this series and going into this game and expecting to play what it is like in Netflix. And obviously it's your world, right? Play what you want. But in my mind, it's like playing Takeshi Kovacs in the role playing game is the equivalent of going to D&D and just playing Driz Stewart, right? I'm just going to play Driz. And because those are the stories I know from the Forgotten Realms series by R.A. Salvatore, this is the heightened, you know, character that I want to play. I want to be, the anti-hero that's into the ranger mindset, and then just like do all the cool things and play all of the I forgot what they actually call their adventuring party now that I think about it, but it's like the um play like Drizz's entire adventuring party. So it's like,
right.
yeah, I mean, you could do that. That is an
Mm.
option, but
Yeah.
it's such a sliver thin capacity of what you can do in this world. So You know,
Yeah, and something that JB Jara, our tech wizard, brought up is like one of the reasons why you hear about Florida Man so much is like publicity laws, where it's just like
publicity laws. Yep.
literally, it's like,
Shaming of the
hey, we air all our mess, so that's why you always hear it like Florida Man as opposed to other states do. But
so
that
easy.
is outside the scope of what we are doing
No, it's okay.
here.
So let me tell you about the archetypes, okay?
Yes,
Before
please.
we get too deep
Let's
into
hear
it.
about the archetypes, and then also chat room. Please be active with this, like with these archetypes that you would like to hear, because
I'm
I'm
going to
ready
do a
for
summary
it.
of each one, just so you know. I'm
Please
going to
do.
literally read a small summary. And what I'd
Let's
like
do
you to
it.
keep in mind, because this is one thing that gets people off. So all of these archetypes are kind of like a die cut that you put into it. The specialization that you enjoy when you start to make characters in role playing games does not happen at this stage. It happens when you start spending your stack points to start adjusting and tweaking. But your archetypes is the place to start. So much so that we have something called starting packages. So if you wanted to hop in and do expedited character creation, you could literally get into the position where if you wanted to just pick an archetype and then do a starting package and then roll up that character, great. By all means, you can do so. But archetypes are ostensibly like just, since Altered Carbon is not a world where there are like different humanoids, it's all humans. And again, as we talked about, like a body's a body. So it really honestly doesn't matter what your age, race, gender, or anything else is. Like a body's a body. And so so here's kind of the archetypes we're breaking down. So you can, so we're not even talking about like what your sleeve is yet. It's like, what is this archetype that you fulfill, and how does your sleeve either complement that or contrast that? This is why the archetypes are first. So there's a standard civilian. This is a highly customizable and flexible character from every walk of life. You're playing, your average Joe Jane, who's just right there, right? You have a criminal, who's the ruthless and the cunning outlaws who run into dangerous circles and are plugged into major criminal networks. Criminal's a criminal. You have an official, which is a protectorate agent, often with security clearance and easier access to channels of authority. So you have someone who's working within the protectorate network. You have a socialite, who is a social climber with friends in high places, who are influential and have power on a social perspective in order to protect themselves. You have a soldier, who are highly trained warriors, comfortable in the thick of combat, and has training with a wide array of weapons. And then you finally have a technician, which are highly skilled technical specialists who manipulate technology in so many different ways. So these are the kind of archetypes that are available. And civilian, it could be anything, which is why it is what it is. But all these other ones do fill categories in what works inside of a neo-noir world, right? So do any of these kind of call out to you in any particular way? Like, is there a style of play that feels interesting to you before we even decide kind of who this person is?
Okay. So chat room also, like, come into this with us. But civilian is all of us, right? Like civilian is the person that's been in quarantine in this futuristic type of world, and then having to like bust out and then do all the things they have to do, while official is someone that has to exist on the front line with everything, where it's, yeah, they would like to be a civilian, but they can't be because the job has to be done. The job, with whether it comes to I have to solve this murder, or I have to, do this, insert A into Y
Right.
type of
We
a
can keep the
deal.
jokes going. It's okay. I just caught up with chat now. I'm allowed. I can say I'm whatever. I'm having beer and
I
pretzels.
like the chat that's like, "This is your call, Kia." I love this. And socialite. Oh my gosh, how much fun is that? How much
Right.
fun is just being this 1%, above it all type of a
Oh, but
deal?
they're not 1%. This is the challenge about socialites. I mean, the 1%
Yeah,
we're
are
talking,
they not like
those are the Methuselahs of the
America?
world. No, because you can be a socialite and in massive debt. All right. Because in fact,
Oh,
most
like
socialites would be,
normal life.
like normal life. A socialite is just someone
Bankruptcy.
who is using their personal charm in order to climb up the ladder. It does not reflect the success of them, right? Someone who is a socialite does not always mean that they are someone who is successful. We've had characters that play socialites who are literally um, playing, lawyers, right? Who are playing people who work in like the government law system, and that might not necessarily play into the official realm, but it's just someone who plays into the space. It could even be like a manager. It doesn't have to be someone who is like pulling in a lot of money. Like I think we had Trisha's character who was literally playing a um a uh a holotech manager, like a holotech talent manager. And she was not Methuselah by any stretch of the imaginations, but she works for Methuselah's, and it's her job to manage her team of her various performers, right? And then
Oh,
make that work. So it's not, so I'm sorry, I don't mean to get you there, but it's like,
no, no, no. I like
yeah,
this.
but
This
socialite does not mean success financially.
I
It
like
just
this.
means
No,
that
and
you're good at
this
climbing the
appeals to
ladder.
me.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah, and then oh, I like this. Oh, so much information. And
Yeah.
then with technician, where it's just like, will I be in this, you know, literally in this cyberpunk future where everything tends to be electronic versus biological. And it's like, if I'm going to specialize as a technician, where I can literally be like a battle medic. That's what I think about a technician, where
Yeah.
it's like, not only am I a hacker into systems, but it's also, oh, are you hurting? I got you.
Yeah, there's, and then when it comes to techs, like techs can be anything from dippers to, like you said, field medics, to people who literally just work in AR, APCs, mechanics, flying cars, air cars, whatever. So I like to think that like the difference between working on a synth body and working on like a piece of hardware are different. Then there's also the techs that just work with software, and I think any engineer will tell you that like the difference between hardware and software are night and day. You know what I mean?
Nice. And then also there's criminal.
Yeah. Okay.
Where it's I think literally the emphasis that I put on that title makes it makes everyone realize what I'm leaning towards right now. Oh, it's
I mean, you
just
did talk about villains. You literally just got done talking about villains, and
I literally
there's
did.
no better
I
place to
literally
be
did.
a transitioning villain than to be in the criminal underworld. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I oh, okay. We have a pre-gen character that we can show, right? JB, if we can show a pre-gen character while I decide, while
yeah,
I
who is this? I
decide,
want to see which one he picked. Who did he pick? I'm
while
only
I decide what I'm going to do for my character.
Yeah, okay. Let me
If we can,
silently
if we
judge
can,
him at
if we
this
can put up
stage.
the pre-gen. Okay, here it is. Our pre-gen is a. Let me see here.
Oh,
Uh, yeah,
Sybil.
Sybil Green. Okay. So a technician character where it's all like, hey, straddling that line of if you're gonna cure the biological or the synthetic, are you gonna go like full ish hacker with everything that you're gonna do? So Sybil Green. So just to give you a taste of some of the pre-gen characters that you can run into with Altered Carbon, we have her stats up right here
So
on
I'll take a sidebar on this real quick and
please,
ask you real quick.
please, please.
Do you know who that model is? This is a little LA inside talk for just people who are that LA.
No, I
Do you know who
don't.
that model is? Did you ever meet Claire Max?
No. Oh, wait. I knew a Claire, but her last name wasn't
So
Max. Was it
Claire, so and maybe and
Irish?
maybe it's not, maybe that's what it is, but she recently put out like a bunch of really sweet Shira cosplay. She's a cosplayer and does some phenomenal work. I think you can find her. Let me find her on
Shira.
Instagram real quick. Find out what her exact Instagram tag is. Where's
Yes.
my search? There it is.
I love cosplayers. Oh
Oh,
my
Maximum Claire. Yeah. So if you type in
gosh. Okay.
Maximum Claire, Claire, she was one of our models who came out for Altered Carbon and killed
Oh,
it. Like brought
great.
so much neo noir stuff that was in there. So um, we had a lot. That was one of the joys of doing the Altered Carbon photo shoot is we actually got to bring in a whole bunch of awesome people and then actually like pay them to do photos for this book, and then we composited the shit out of it.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love this. I love this
Yeah.
so much.
So that's Claire. So yes, technician, Bay City, they've got 20 stack points. This is like after they've done some of their stuff, but that's just kind of reflective of what their DHF's age is. That's their
Mhm.
personal their knowledge, kind of how they bring into it. Influence points is just how much clout they have in the network that they play off of. Ego
Okay.
points, which is just how much, frankly, like how much humanity they still have inside of them after doing all of
Ooh.
the work. And then, yeah, and their primary stats with all of their D10s. Since this is another roll under game,
Okay.
the higher the die number, the less likely you are to be good. So I call it like reverse Savage Worlds, where you have a die type, and the higher you are, the more likely you're going to roll over the stat versus the low number. So, yeah, that's. Thank you. Yes, and not
I've decided what my archetype will be for our altered carbon run that I
okay
hope that our chat room can help me build everything from this point out, because the archetype is going to be my decision, but I would love for the chat room to help me like
with the
like
rest.
y'all did for Ragnarok with Carthusis Yachtfacht. So for the for the actual archetype that I'm going to take for my altered carbon run, I love that we did this pre-gen character so much with like this technician so other people can see what that brings to the table. I am criminal as fuck.
Okay, criminal. Great. Well, then
I am.
let's lean into that. So for criminal, then let me pop into it. Criminal. Great.
Criminal.
Pros: no accountability to the law. Only criminal social codes limit their behavior with any meaningful check. Cons: many social and legal consequences exist should their safety net of informants or their securities become compromised. Right. Um, your
It
def-
won't be.
your default sleeve for this is actually a synthetic mid range. That's the default sleeve when it comes to the starting feature on this,
Okay.
right?
I'm
Which
cool
means
with that.
you can do some more down the road. But what we're going to do is basically say, okay, well, you've got a criminal. You're playing the criminal, so I'm going to hop into there and I'm going to go to your sleeve type, and we're going to type in synthetic medium. All right, your archetype is criminal,
Nice. For
and
those that are interested in socialite, go back and watch Vivica play on the Hyper RPG Altered Carbon stream.
oh, she played a
She
great one.
was
Yeah, so both Trish, and that's the best part.
socialite. Yeah.
That was actually the best one to really showcase how different socialite can be, because Trish's character and Vivka's character, both socialites, played them completely different ways, you know,
Excellent.
which is super duper fun.
So
All
now
right,
we're
so
talking criminal.
right, so we're also going to give you some extra ego points. You get an additional D8 uh, ego points, which I'm going to kind of just mark that on your character sheet, because a lot of these are going to be kind of like notes that we're going to take now until later. So ego points plus D8 just for that. Next is tech. So when we actually start doing your tech breakup, you get one sleeve augment or upgrade that is worth 2 tech points, which basically means your criminal synthetic sleeve, you get two tech points, which are just cool things that you can do for free. You don't have to pay for them. You have to pay stack points. You don't have to do anything for them. So what's going to happen is I'm going to hop into again to your character sheet and kind of just notate that for down the road. If I can just
Yes.
manage all my windows.
You know what, Ivan? Notate that for me. For
Yes,
down the road.
I will notate it
Yeah.
all for you. I'm putting it all on our Roll20 pre-made or our Roll20 fillable character sheet, which best money we ever spent. to make these fillable character sheets. Even if you plan on doing stuff like physically in game, yo, dude, just make the stuff on Roll20 and print it out, because damn, it makes it so deliciously easy to put all this stuff together. Great. Then the last thing to note is you get to pick a network. So we don't have to pick the network yet, because it will very much be informed kind of by where you are, what you're doing, and who you want to play. But I'm going to at least notate that you get one organization as part of your network. And again, if I can manage my freaking windows, so networks content. So I'm
Goodness.
adding a network here.
Nice.
Um,
Chat room, please be very vocal about this with like what my possible network
well,
could be.
let's break this up as well too. So I mean, you're doing this
Yes.
for your character next week, all right? So we're gonna
Yes. Yes.
officially
I
we're
will be
gonna
playing this character on Tuesday.
on Tuesday. So here's the
Okay.
deal. We got to spoil it now then, because otherwise people ain't going to know nothing about what when it comes to it. So Xander Jeanneret will be GMing, but your character is, at least in this circumstance, they can have a criminal network that's associated in it, or they can have something specific, but you're going to be playing it in Osaka, right?
Yes.
So you're going to be playing your,
We will
instead of
be
being in
playing
Bay
in
City,
Osaka.
but you'll be playing in
Crystal
Osaka.
mentioned.
So, which means that your criminal network that you're a part of can be either directly affiliated with like the Osaka underground, or it can be a much more widespread network, right? Like, it
Chat
can
room,
be.
help me out with that.
We'll get there, but hold on, chat. Cool your jets, because we got to figure out who this character is first before we start getting too deep into criminal network, because that's where we start getting into the fun. Like, let's discover who this character is. Right now, we're just getting their base attributes and stats done. Cool. So, cool your jets, chat. So normally we'd have we like I said, we wanted to expedite this process. We could do a starting package, and we can start getting some of this expedite stuff done. But down the road, and we'll get to this, you can pick starting packages when it comes to your gear. So we can either customize your own gear, or we can actually pick your traits and your gear based off of, do you want to be a dipper, a fixer, a hitman, a technician, or a thief? And that'll just kind of give you gear and then your traits down the road. But I think we're going to have much more fun kind of determining who this is, how we're doing this down the road. So now that we've picked an archetype, right, now we get to look at the sleeve. So you're doing a medium synthetic, which means that your minimum strength, your base strength is 35, and your base perception is 30. So those are easy things to mark down. These are all just determined by your sleeve. You have a basic sleeve that has these basic elements to it. So we have 30 or 35, because beefy sleeve times, and then a perception of 30. That's done. Continuing on with your medium synthetic sleeve, we get to now have we now are going to do a basic, like your basic stat attributes. So when you start your stack attributes, you basically are picking your you're kind of starting everything on a baseline. So like I said earlier, you have your sleeve attributes and you have your stack attributes. Everyone starts off on a level playing field. Things
Okay.
change a little bit based off of what type of sleeve you have for the physical stuff, but right now, everyone, for your sleeve attributes, it's just 30 across the board. And you'll have
Got
an opportunity to adjust that with your stack points down the road, right?
it. Okay.
Now, something to keep in mind when playing this game, if the GM does not call for a specific stat, or if they want you to test against yourself, a very often case in this is shooting. Like if you want to physically shoot a gun, you're obviously going to be testing against an attribute versus one of your skills. In that circumstance, the tens digit is what matters. So when you're looking at a 30 as your base perception, if the GM says, hey, I want you to fire your gun, so use your base perception, you're looking for actually rolling a 3 or under on whatever dice you have that you're doing the check
Oh.
for, right?
Okay.
And again, we're talking about this being a level, just like Outbreak. This is, everyone starts with a level playing field, and then you get to specialize how you want with your stack points appropriately. But now that we have base attributes done, one more time.
Intelligence.
Oh, intelligence on my screen. No, I have 30, 30, 30, 30. Oh, I just needed to mark it. Everything's great. Yeah, now that we've picked and we put your base attributes, now we get to pick the age. This is where things start to get a little different. Because again, like I said, everybody starts off on a level playing field. The age of your DHF is when you start to delineate who your person is versus someone else. All right. And age is a double-edged sword. This is super important because the older your character's DHF is, the more experience they have, which leads into more better skills, things like that. But then the more baggage they come with, which are severe consequences to the fact that you have lived this long in this world of altered carbon. So this is the first time in which I feel like this is probably a good time to bring up chat. This
Yes.
is where it's
Yes.
really pivotal to kind of make a decision on how much. And I know that we have the age of the DHF, the age of
Yeah.
DHF chart. We do have a
I
chart for this.
Yeah, I want the age between 81 and 100. That's
Oh,
the age that I
is that
want.
that's the what you want? So you don't care about chat. You're doing this 80 to
No, no, no,
100.
no, no. I want chat to roll, but I'm hoping that it's 81 through 100.
Oh, this is what you want. Okay.
That's what I want.
Okay. So
But we'll
one, two,
see.
three,
We'll see
four,
what
five,
ends up
six.
happening with chat.
So the challenge is again, and this is something I'm going to, people very much are inclined to want to go older, right?
Yeah.
Because they want those resources. They
Yeah,
want
I see right here that it says 5d6 for 81 through 100. So I'm going to take whatever the first 5d6s are in chat, and if we can
that's
add
on the baggage table. That 5d6 you're looking at is actually on the baggage table at the moment.
okay.
What so if you want it to be, if you want to randomly determine what your age is, in
I want whatever the first 5d6 is for what chat does to be whatever we go with the baggage table, cuz I want 81 through 100.
I don't
So,
I
if
don't
we can just go
completely
with
understand what you're trying to communicate right
Oh,
now.
so I want 81 through 100, and it seems 5d6 determines what where we will fall on the baggage table. I
But
might
when
be
okay,
misconstruing
so
this.
if I'm hearing you correctly, you do want to be 80 to 100. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not having chat determine that. We're literally, you're just going to go with 80 to 100. You want to be as old up to potentially meth as possible. This is definitely your second sleeve. If you're 80 to
I
100, this is not your first sleeve.
I thought that with this, like 5d6, the number of d6 rolled on baggage table
Yeah,
would then determine what your baggage was.
it is.
I would
Yes.
want the chat room to determine what my baggage is. The first 5 people that are rolling our d6 right now
That's way
in
you
the
get, then you
chat.
get five different options for your baggage.
Oh,
I
it's not all together.
It is all together, but if you want, oh, you want five different people to roll a d6 and then total them up together, that's your total
And that's
baggage.
my total for whatever the
Okay.
baggage is.
All right. Well, I mean,
Is that possible? If
that's totally
not, I
fine.
will change that.
No, it's totally. I mean, you can. That's if that's how you want to roll at the bag. It's totally fine. I'm just already impressed that you're like straight to, just going straight to close to the red line as much as you want. You want to get it as old as
I
possible to
saw
play
a
into it.
hundred
So
and I was like, I want 100, and then I went under 100.
okay,
So that's what I was going for with
yeah.
it.
Because as soon as you
Um,
start getting into that little like 126 to 150 category, these are very old and powerful, influential people who are usually beyond the scope of most player characters. So 100 is totally okay. The only thing that's going to be really important, Markeia, is that depending on who you play with the rest of the group, if you are the oldest one of the group, there
mm,
has to be a reason why you're there. Because if you've already aged yourself out of like a bunch of young bloods who are like, 30, 40, 50 or whatever, and they have no idea where they are, there has to be a reason why you've taken the time to go and work with these people. So just keep that in mind. And that's part of, so we put it right there actually next to the chat. It's called party balancing, and I'm just going to read it real quick. If a player's character has an age that is far and away greater from the party average, it will confer said character to a de facto leadership role, since extreme age comes with substantial stat bonuses. Their age, however, brings a lot of past baggage, which becomes the rest of the party's problem more often than not. Either way, other players may not appreciate this sort of power imbalance within the normally quasi quasi-cooperative environment. So it's important to moderate this sort of relationship between players unless that imbalance is something that's agreed upon by the larger play group. Since we don't have your larger play group here and we don't have your DM, screw it, I'm just going to call Xander right now.
Well, he is awesome and is wonderfully accessible when it comes to
he
things.
might be accessible. He may not pick up my phone call either. So
I love chat room right
hi
now
Xander,
where
how you doing?
they have totally
Oh, you're watching the
totally
stream right
come
now?
on
Okay,
board.
so you
Oh
actually know that that I
yeah.
was attempting to call
Oh
you. So
my gosh.
how do you feel about Markeia being at that kind of like threshold where they're not, you love it as a criminal? Okay. All right.
Ivan was
So
trying to
we're gonna
tell
make
on
her
me, and
super at this
Xander
stage
was
because since she's
like,
at like that, I'm definitely in their second sleep at this stage, right? Since they're that old. So we're just hopefully we'll get some baggage that's like so much severe falling from grace that it'll just yeah, it'll be amazing. Okay, great. So thank you. I was not going to make a call like this without having to talk to you about it first. Okay. I love you too, buddy.
oh, tell him I love him. Oh my gosh.
All right, great. So you're fine. He's watching the stream as well too. I think we all heard that.
Hi, Xander.
Let's roll these
No,
dice.
they did. Chat room has like been on it and not always weak. Thank you, Lauren. Mwah. Has added up 5d6 for us
What do we got?
for baggage, and it was a 1, a 5, a 1, a 4, a 5, which equals 16 for baggage.
Okay, so
For
16. Um, all right, so it's 16, and that's 5d6, right? And we're rolling it once
that
on
was
them.
5d6. And
Okay, great.
I love Mr. Toe Tag says you become number 5 in the Umbrella Academy. Totally possible.
Totally
You know what?
possible.
I'm open to it. If I'm
Absolutely
a
possible.
criminal child, I will play the ish out of that.
Okay, so 16 is a major run-in. All right.
Okay.
So this means that your character was responsible for a considerable crime very early on in your life, and they're still paying the price for it. You start with a major deferral, 5, in debt, and have one scandal that's generated at random. All right. So you're starting with a scandal. And I'd like to say, especially since you're already in a synth body, like I'd like to maybe even think that maybe what happened has something to do with your original body. Because it says early on in life, right? Maybe you've been
Mm-hmm.
holding on to this synth sleeve for a while. So this could be just more natural than even your original body because of what happened at, an early age as part of your ish, right?
Right.
So let's put that in. So we have your sheet, and I'm going to be putting in your baggage here, major running,
Okay.
right? And we can get into the details of what that means down the road. This might be something you want to put in after talking to your other players a little bit.
Major
Um,
running.
Deferral 5, all right? And we're going to generate a scandal, which we can totally do right now. Let's give you a scandal.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What's my scandal gonna be?
All right, we're a lot of we're getting into the meat of this even before we assign any stat bonuses to you at this moment.
It's
Um,
like child criminal, or is it like a masochine from Lucifer?
who
Like,
knows, dude? That's the best part. It's like that's what makes this so much fun. Is that there is absolutely a world in which maybe you died at a young age and you've been holding on to this sleeve for a while, or maybe your scandals, or maybe this body's just recent, but you're still just holding on to some junk, right,
wow.
from your past.
Yeah.
So
I love
definitely.
chat rooms getting into this. I love it.
All right, let's see. I'm still checking to make sure I know where my scandal is on the core book. You would think I would know where everything is now. Weapons, devices, apparel, sleeve upgrades. We'll get to sleeve. Scandals. Scandals. All right. Acquiring a scandal. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Oh, geez. You know what? We can actually, we can make this random, which is totally there, or we can totally just pick something. Um, I'm gonna pick something that I think Xander would like.
Ooh, yes, let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay. Oh, oh yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good. Okay. That's ties into that a little bit.
This is
Oh,
excruciating.
303. 303. What is hold on, 303. The
I
contract is a
like
friend.
the chat room with with their scandal possibilities here.
Yeah, because we can make whatever
We have
you
Beer
can.
Glove 01 scandal. You once divided by zero. Kyle Vogue T 01 scandal successfully ran for political office. We have 54 Aqua Snakes scandal sold out your boss.
Okay.
Penguiny 11 scandal betrayed a boss in the organization? Question mark.
No, I think we're the people are kind of leaning into it a little bit, and even hearing chat, it helps me make the decision. I think we're gonna make you a turncoat.
Ooh, I
Yeah,
like it. Uh,
yeah. This
also,
contract has.
Caleb is drawing scandal was a Broadway chorus girl.
uh,
Caleb.
so this literally says a contact has been feeding, so you right, a
Mhm.
contact has been feeding information to a character's rival. This has made it effectively impossible to make any moves without fears of enemies knowing the character's identities and goals. They must ferret out who it has turned on them and why. So there's a turncoat in your organization at the moment, and you are in the hot seat as one of the contenders for it.
Ooh,
That's the scandal we're going to play into on yours. All
I like
right.
that. I
So
like
as
that
part
so much.
So as part of your organization, and again, we haven't determined what your full organization is yet. We are absolutely going to be in a position where we've got to, we're going to have you be a major turncoat. One, which means you need an extra influence point if you
Ooh.
ever want to utilize your contact ever, because no one, frankly, everyone has reasons to not trust you. Um, so one additional plus one to use network. All right, until turncoat is ferreted out. Yeah, great. Cool. Best thing
Until
about scandals, they're amazing story hooks to begin these games. So sometimes when we're creating characters now, like Xander's brain can already be like putting it together, be like, okay, well now we have a character who's got a turncoat. That'll help the start of this process a little bit. Um, and yeah, it's great. It just kind of helps feed that creative feeder before we get into even before we play. Um,
Criminal as far.
Criminals fun. All right. So now that we've determined your DHF, we've determined your scandal, and we've determined what your baggage is. We now basically get to start assigning your resources. All right. So you've got 40 starting stack points plus whatever your acuity bonus is, which in this circumstance is 3 because you haven't done any much more with it. Um,
And these are my resources. Can we have chat jump into this with different things, or is that something that chat can jump into
chat can
later
jump in on
on?
this. It's going to be a little bit of a we need to decide what we want to bump up and what and how we want to bump things up. But I think if we're all collectively smart about how we spend our points, so hive mind come to being,
Yeah.
we can do this. You are going to start with 25 ego points plus your will, which is another 3. So 25 ego points plus will. So that would be 28. But then you also get a D8 because of the criminal. Would someone please roll a D8 to determine
Ooh, whoever
extra
rolls
ego
it first,
points?
please roll a d8. Roll
Yeah.
high,
All right. And then you're
if
going to start with
possible.
5 influence points because you start with 2 as a base, but then plus your empathy bonus, which is 3. Because guess what? Everything's 3. Um,
It's good to be a criminal.
it's good to be a criminal today. All right, let me go back and make sure that we are clear on. I think I forgot to grab what your starting wealth level is. Yeah, your wealth level is level 1. Um, There is no
Oh,
D8 command yet. All
yeah,
right. Well, I'm going to
we
roll
weren't
it using
completely sure that
Google.
we were in. Oh, okay. Yeah, Ivan, if you can like roll
Roll a
it.
D8.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, look at that.
We
You got
didn't
an
we didn't
8.
realize. Wait, was it an 8?
Yeah, it was an 8. So 36 ego points, which means you have a lot of humanism in you still for being a criminal. Do
I'm
do
a
well.
thief with a heart of gold. And now there's the 8 command.
Of course there
Um,
is.
Ivan, I'm taking the 8. And let's chat.
Hey, you know what, chat? Why don't you roll it? Go for it. Oh, D8 rolled. Oh, Lauren did it roll the 2. Yeah, it's better. Let's do that.
What?
Okay, 30. It's okay. 30 is still a pretty great number. Don't you fret.
Okay.
Then what we're gonna do is oh yeah, that's right. We gotta spend stack points. So here is how you spend stack points. So
Okay.
like I mentioned, once you pick the DHF age, that's when things start to divert a little bit in the type of characters you can make. This is where true specialization comes in. I want you you play a lot of video games, right?
Oh yes.
Okay. So Diablo, example that most people know about, right? That tech tree, right? That when every single time you level up, you basically get to put a skill point into something, right? And the tree continues to move down. Um,
Mhm.
I want you to think for a moment that you have those 38 resources and you've got a blank slate. All right. You basically have 38 resources in which to do to build out your character sheet the way that you want.
Okay.
So what this means is actually I need to do your basic stat first. I realized I didn't put this is my fault. I didn't put your basic stats in first, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have you change it from there. Um, does
Is it a possibility to reel off the other stats that I would have to put stuff in for our chat room and then they
they're gonna
utilize?
can they see it right now? Because I don't know if they can see the actual DHF character sheet, the protectorate citizenship record, the actual character sheet. I will do my best, but there are several
But I mean
skills.
just like reeling it off and then they're like, "Oh, I know. This is important." And then that helps
We can do that,
me
and
dice it in.
as I explain each one, I will do it, or I'll explain each one as I lay out each one of the stats. But I need
Okay.
someone to probably help me by at least reading it off in there because I don't have two monitors at the moment. So if someone can
Um
potentially go to,
Let me see
um,
what we have here.
do you
JB, what do I need to look at?
you need to look at page 57 of the PDF if you have the PDF open,
Okay.
if you can do that. So okay, great. If it's on screen, then even better. So for example, for athletics, the
Is
starting skills
fleet
of a criminal is a
attributes
D10.
that we're
Or
looking at right now?
yes, okay. Athletics is a D10, which is how we want it. Okay, yeah, perfect. Thank you, JB, for putting that together. What so athletics is exactly what you would imagine. How much physical athleticism you have when it comes to doing certain things versus endurance, which what is endurance? What do criminals start out with for endurance? D10? Great.
D10.
And
Yeah.
how about toughness?
Toughness is a D10.
D10. Great. Now, how about brawl, which is fisticuffs, just bare knuckle combat, no weapons?
D8.
D8. Great. And melee combat, which is using something in your hands?
D8.
D8. That is pretty on par with a criminal. Uh, got a lot of muscle just because you got it. Now let's go into the next sleeve stat or the next sleeve category, which is under perception. How does detection look?
D8.
D8. Great. Now, how about firearms?
D8.
D8. How about stealth?
D6.
D. Ooh, that's the good one. Great. How about energy weapons? D10.
D10. Yeah.
Great. How about search? D10.
D12.
D12. All right. And finally, throw.
D10.
D10. Perfect. Now let's go into empathy. I'm going to guess probably all D20s.
No, diplomacy is D12,
Great.
expression is D10, and read person is D12.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, there is no D20 in this game. What am I talking about? D12 is the worst you can do. So, they're by default because that's how Roll20 has to do it. But
I like with this that if you see something that's like a stat of D12, you're like, "Oh, that's so good." It's like No,
No.
that's more failure.
Yeah. How about willpower? So we're looking at composure, discipline, and intimidation.
Composure is D12,
D12,
discipline is D10, and intimidation is D8.
D8. Okay, that makes sense. It's part of that. Now let's get into acuity. So data analysis. We're looking at a D12.
Yes.
How about digi networks?
I'm sorry. D10,
D10. Mechanics?
D12,
D12. And a pilot?
D12,
D12. Data engineering?
data engineering, D10,
D10. Investigation?
D12.
All right. And I'm assuming navigation and survival, both D12.
Yes.
Okay. So what I like to talk about, what's the difference is like, why is there three different stats for data, all right, or at least data? So analysis versus engineering versus networking. Um, Here's how I like to look at this. Uh, Data analysis is reading a spreadsheet. Data engineering is building a spreadsheet from code. Digital networks is Facebook. All right. So these are the three different ways that you can interact with either the hollow or whatever it is. You're either gleaning information from the data web. You're either building something using data, or you're networking. You're using that social emotional power in order to get information you want using the network. All right. Bureaucracy. D12.
Yes.
Cultures D10.
10.
Yeah.
Yes.
Engineering D12.
Yes.
Geography D12.
Yes.
History D12.
Yes.
Medicine D12.
Yes.
Science D12.
Yes.
Okay, great. I knew you would run out of D10s at this point because you're only allowed to have so many of them. So I figured as much. So those are your basic stats. So what you get to do now is you get to make three choices with your stack points. You can either increase the die level on any one of these skills that you want. You can increase the stat itself by doing by spending points on it, or you can use them to buy more traits and abilities down the road. And you
Ooh.
earn stack points in the game like you earn experience points in most RPGs. So you can keep some of these to hold on to if you want to do some stuff down the road. Technically, you can also use stack points in the game to like get bennies or bonus rolls or things like that. But I recommend you hold on to a couple of them for emergencies like that. Otherwise, spend them all.
Oh, so maybe spend one right now and then like take the other two like down the road.
Well, yeah. So yeah, keep one or two on hand, but you've got 33 to work with right now. So, which means that you can do quite a bit of specialization with your character. And if you want chat to help out with this,
I
if they,
really do. Oh my
yeah, and
gosh,
that's
so
kind of what we're going to
much.
do it. But let me talk about exactly what you're going to have to spend in order
Okay.
to make sure that you go into this. So, if you want to increase an attribute, you need to spend one stack point in order to increase an attribute by D4. All right. There is a max you can hit at that point, by the way. So it's a one for a D4 trade off.
Mhm.
You can do you can also do them to like I said, increase. And I believe it's one. I'm gonna have to double check because I know this was actually a point of contention. We had to change this a few times on how many stack points are spent in order to increase a die roll. I know it's a lot more expensive than a one for one. I highly recommend you spend a significant amount of, like, I would say at least 10 of your stack points on just blowing attributes. Because as we heard earlier, when you were talking about like that having to roll under 3 in order to shoot a gun with perception and having
Mm,
to roll under 3 being pretty low, yeah, that's rough. This is why you have stack points.
okay. Hmm.
Let me just, and in the meantime, I'm going to do my research real quick to make sure I know how much stack points you need to spend in order to increase a skill.
Okay. And then in the meantime, while Ivan is looking that up, yeah, and thank you. Thank you, Kyle Vogue. It's pronounced like the magazine Vogue with a T at the end. I love that. Kyle Vogue 01. Yeah, phonetically speaking with things, I don't know. I don't know, which is why I give other people that pronounce my name wrong so much leeway. But yeah, so if y'all that are going along with this creation journey with us, if you have like strong opinions on things that should be focused on as opposed to other stuff, I will let you know that with this particular character, I absolutely love the idea of having an 81 to 100-year-old person that acts like Rufio from Hook. So when it comes to like a criminal element, I absolutely love that idea and like what that person would embody. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like running around like on a skateboard or something, going, saying my name out loud or making other people say my name out loud, but just the embodiment of that spirit of the stuff that Peter Pan left behind and that I picked up and I'm taking into like the next realm of stuff. So if we could like embody that, that would be awesome. If not,
I think we can. Here's the deal too. It's like, again, this is going to get where it gets a little fickle to have chat be involved. The upgrading skill levels is very expensive. Going from D12 to a D10, that costs 20 stack points just to do that.
wow.
Right? A D10 to a D8 costs 50 stack points to do it. So you don't even have enough to increase from a D8 to it from a D10 to a D8 if you wanted to. So
Okay.
again, I super recommend that you use this to bump up the attributes that you feel are appropriate and will actually assist your character in the kind of development you want. So if we want to poll on like what two or three stats that you want to buy in on, so to speak, because like I
I
said, you
love
got
that.
okay. So then
Okay.
what's the one that you do not want to focus on, Markeia, as far as your attributes? You
At
pick.
all, like I don't care about at all.
Don't care about it all.
I
What's your
don't
dump
care
stat?
about at all engineering. Who cares
An
about?
attribute. So strength,
Is that
perception,
are we
empathy,
saying
willpower.
sleeve attributes or stack attributes?
Any of them, because there's six total. We only have room for five. So what is an attribute
Oh,
that
I'm
you do not
sorry.
care about?
I was looking at like all the attributes that we went through with like
Those are skills.
okay. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen.
Strength, perception,
Let me
empathy.
look at what everybody else is looking at real quick.
Well, here's the deal.
Um,
With everyone's looking at, if you remove one, whether that's strength, perception, empathy, will, acuity, or intelligence, then we'll
Oh,
have
you're saying
room.
the big bads. Sorry, in my head, like the
Right.
big boss.
Yeah, those
Okay.
are your attributes.
For my particular character, I am not I don't care about intelligence with this
Okay.
particular character.
Then what we should do is then we should make a poll for strength, perception, empathy, willpower, acuity. And what's going to happen is, based on the poll, we're going to do this 5 times, right? So what we're going to do is, we're going to, for the first time, we're going to put the poll up once. Whoever has the most vote is what we're going to dump 5 of your 30 just into
Oh,
without any questions.
nice.
Okay.
I like that.
I'll roll 5d4, and then we'll use that to
Yeah,
increase your
let's make
attributes.
these short, awesome polls. Let's
Yeah,
just like
quick. We're going to do these super fast, because it's also, we've
pour
also
them
reached the
in.
end of our time, Markeia, is where we are. It is 9
I
o'clock.
know we literally did.
We got to,
How did you talk more than Spencer, Ivan?
uh, let's just put it this way: you get him and I together, and nothing gets done, but we talk about everything at the same time. So, um, okay. So I've already rolled it. So you all need to pick what this die roll is going to get dumped into. All right.
Oh, options again, please. The options are
Strength, perception, empathy, will, acuity. So strength, perception being your sleeve attributes, empathy, willpower, and acuity being the stack attributes.
and
Basically
we're
everything
doing
but
that
intelligence.
5 times. So just like
So we're doing one poll just right
possible.
now with those 5. So let's just start first with the poll that has those 5 options inside of it, and then we'll determine which one do we want to dump
Like
this first die roll into, or this
the
first set of die rolls.
shortest amount of time that we can do for that. Like whoever can get it in just like makes it work. I apologize. I
Poll
don't
is up. It's all good.
poll. I don't know how Twitch polls work, and I adore you for knowing how to do this.
It's all part of the glory of learning this process, and I actually really like this poll system. I usually use Streamlabs, but this is much cleaner as far as the capacity to do things go. Okay, great. So what we're going to do is what it looks like significant. And I think, yeah, see there, I'm seeing the countdown already hit.
Awesome.
It's a minute, and it's
Yeah.
fine. Lauren's got this.
I like that who was it that brought in Caleb is drawing is like what if she's sleeved into an older body? I'm about it. I want to be a young criminal in an older body. That sounds
Now, is it an
amazing.
older body in the sense of age, or is it an older body because it's a beaten up synth sleeve? Because remember, you're not in a natal
Ooh.
sleeve, you're in a synthetic sleeve.
I was thinking older body like age wise, but I'm open. But like literally, I was thinking like being, like in the actual Netflix drama of it, where it's like this younger child gets spun into an older body, like a
Hmm.
grandma like body. And she's like, Mom, Dad? It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So having this like ridiculous criminal Rufio type character
In
in
an
an older body or an
Yeah, so
older,
you're like in a teen upstart, but you've,
yeah,
I
where it's
again, I'm
just
not,
like
I don't want
I've
to
been
feed.
doing this for 80 years. It doesn't matter who I'm in.
Yeah, but it's also, it's if you're, because you want to do the young body. So if you're literally just again an old person in the
Perception is
child's
the
body.
first one.
Okay, great.
Perception is the
Roll
first.
the poll again. Just turn it back over. What's so
Pull
that so
again.
we've increased that so your so perception, and I rolled 5d4. That gave you a total of 10. So I bumped your perception from 30 up to 40. Now we're going to do it again, right? So just
Roll it
make the
again.
poll again. This is die roll 2. What do we want to increase by another 5d4? Is kind of what the next stage is. So everyone vote on what the next
That's
stat
two of
they would like to
five that
pull
we will
into it.
do. So
Um, in the meantime, so something it could be in mind, because again, if you want to have an older personality but like the younger body, there is a world in which like the synth sleeve that you have is like, for example, it could be a beaten up athlete's body, right? Like a mid-level
or
synth that's
someone that used to be a pop star that then turned bad,
pops are, yeah, so that image doesn't work anymore, right? That sleeve is
right?
outdated and old. There could be a,
Exactly, but people recognize it in criminal underground circumstances.
so that's the thing. It's like you have to, so this younger body, again, it's like, where did you get it? Like, who handed this off to you, and why do you have it? What happened to that burnt out pop star? Like, what are they in a new sleeve now? And do you just have this one rolling around with it? Like, public image is still a thing. Willpower. Okay, great. So I'm gonna roll.
Willpower, yes. Okay, so next one,
Okay.
next dice roll.
So roll the next dice set. So that increased your willpower by 13.
Or, like Mr. Totag said, the fifth golden girl.
That's a thing.
It's like, ain't the years, it's the mileage. And
That's true, because
also,
that's the part. Like with a synthetic sleeve, it does not need to be a physically aged sleeve. It can literally just be beaten and broken up. It could be, patched in certain areas. Certain servos don't work anymore. Like it can be an arthritic body because it's a mid level, right?
yeah. I like how they said here, oh, former pop star defaulted on body payments. Totally
Yeah, there you go.
possible.
That it could literally be a
Totally.
recall. Could 100%. And the good news
Oh
is
my
that this
gosh,
thing
that'd
has
be
the
so heartbreaking. Yeah.
this thing could have the serial numbers filed off it, because technically sleeve transference is usually done through the protectorate, but maybe you have an underground sleeve.
And I love Xanderific going bangerang.
That's fair. Okay, so empathy. So we're gonna dump.
Empathy one. Okay, great. So die roll
So you
four,
got
and
11
we
for
only got
empathy there.
one. We
So
only
this
got
is it. So this is what this will do after we've done this fourth die roll. You'll have spent 20 out of your 33 is what you'll have done. So 41. All
yeah.
right,
I
so we
like
have,
Not Always Weak saying just literally play Betty White as a criminal.
yeah, not bad.
If it works out like that, you know what? I got you. I got you.
Okay, so the next thing to, yeah, so after we do this next one, I recommend that we probably we can keep going if you want, but you
Yes.
can also use some of these if you want to, do your own tweaks and stuff down the road, or continue to
No.
kind of look at your different attributes and abilities, right, that you want to get into.
I
So
am totally good with what the chat comes up with stuff. We're almost done with die roll 4 with I like Mr. Toe Tag. Everyone recognizes the body, but not the user.
yeah, I mean that's what happens too though, is depending on how long you've been in that body, you could have washed whatever stigma was away from it because you've been in it for 20, 30, whatever years.
Yeah. Okay. Strength has won our latest die roll. That was the fourth one. So we
Okay.
have one more that we're going to be doing.
If you want to, that you'll spend 25 then out of your 30.
Okay.
Is that something
Fantastic.
you want to do?
After chat decides this last one,
Okay, strength then
then
goes up to
I will decide the actual final one. So I'll have that one input into, but chat room will do everything else. I really really like that actually.
Great. So right now you're looking at a strength of 48, a perception of 40, an empathy of 41, 43 willpower, and acuity of 30 and an intelligence of 30, which means you're not spending much time on acuity and intelligence, but you've
Mm.
definitely kind of flattened the curve when it comes to, or you've made a pretty mid-ranged character when it comes to strength, perception, empathy, and will.
Okay. So chat room, like specialize me in something, or we'll just keep this roller coaster riding because I still have a point that I can put into something. So, show me what you got with die roll number 5. We're almost done with this one. So vote, 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 vote.
Yeah, willpower. Another 11 in
Another
willpower.
willpower. I love it.
Okay, so you're at 54 willpower then, which actually
Okay.
might be above your cap. Let me just double check.
Okay.
So we may want to give you one back, because you just may
And I'll
be at,
put into something else.
yeah, and
Not
just roll another
empathy.
d4. Um,
I'll put it into strength. If I have something left over from willpower, I feel like that's the next closest stat to willpower.
yeah, 50 is the stat on
Whatever the
oh,
spillover
40,
is.
40 is the stat on 40 is the stat on um perception, but I think we just said it was willpower. Yeah, so 50. So you're gonna get one back after spending 25. So 25 minus 33 is, oh, math. 25 minus 33 is 8. So I'm giving you one back. So you have 9 stack points to work with at this point.
Put it into strength.
Okay, so you'll roll one more d4 just to see if you can get it to the next level above. You got a
Roll that.
2. So
Oh, you
unfortunately,
got
oh,
it?
that is just enough. That is, so you got 50 strength. So you have 8
Okay.
stack points left. We're going to do your traits now. And it's the last thing, by
Don't
the
I
way.
don't I have one more? Like I have 5 points left?
No, you got 8 points left. You have 8
Okay.
stack points left. You can
Well, I
hold
mean
on to
like
them, though.
for the ones that chat didn't decide. I thought I had 5 left over that chat didn't decide.
No, you have 8 left over that chat didn't decide.
Awesome.
Yes.
So
So,
should we save that for later or do that
yeah,
now?
I'd save it for later.
Let's save it for later. Let's go on.
Hold on to it because I want to get to traits.
Let's do it.
And burn it out. So, great. Choosing traits. So when you do your character creation, everybody basically starts off with let me just see. Players can further customize their characters. Let me just see. Traits are 3 starting traits and 1 from uncommon. That's right. Yeah, one and now I see. So as a criminal, you obviously your criminal archetype is 2. So you can kind of pick 2 traits for free, not having to spend any stack points. You can
Awesome.
you can pick 2 trait trees from 2 trait trees from criminal for free.
Right now I think I'm looking at the civilian ones unless everybody's stat trees are the same.
No, no one's, and everyone's stat tree is different.
Okay.
So if where you're going to look at is on page 164 of the rule book.
Is that in roll 20?
No, that's in the
Okay.
PDF
Got it. You
in
know
the
what?
core rule book.
You know what? I got the PDF. I do.
Oh, good.
Give me a second, and I will have that. I will have that for you. I will. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, rat with wings. That's kind of what I'm getting at with like an older mid-level sleeve. Is if you've worn out the sleeve so much the joints stick. That's the kind of stuff that I think is interesting when it comes to synthetic sleeves. Stuff breaks down. You're going to have third-party parts because maybe you can't afford to do it. Like, we all
Yeah.
get broken bones and we heal naturally as nail sleeves. But what do synthetic sleeves do? They need to go to the repair shop.
Give me the page number again.
164.
164.
And there's four branches. So as you go into it, I'll lay out to
Got
it
it.
for so chat can see it as
I
well too.
got
But
it right here.
there's four branches that you go into, which is
Larceny, trafficking, thuggery, and professional network crime syndicate.
absolutely. And you can go into several trees down it. So you start with the first tier. So what you could do is you could pick a branch and go two tiers down if you wanted to with your character, or you could pick like a tier one from two different branches, so to speak.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
So for
I guess.
trafficking, if you wanted to go all the way from minor, so do minor contraband and then go all the way up to arms and armor, you could. But if you also want to be larceny, so you have pickpocketing and you have thuggery, which is strong arm, you could do that as well. So how do you feel Rufio fits?
I think is a bit of a pickpocket, but then also is hired muscle, which
Like a goon squad?
yeah,
So
actually,
they're part of a goon squad. So we'll do pickpocketing and goon squad, which also, by the way, for goon squad, um, yeah, this character can request additional muscle from their criminal organization to come to their assistance.
okay.
And pickpocketing means that you get bonus training values when you're trying to pickpocket or steal anything that's small. Like basically, it's something that you can fit in a large pocket kind of a situation.
Ooh, I like this because you
Some
know what? They have to grow. We're not doing like a level 10 character or something like this.
no,
This
but
is
with but at
someone
80,
starting out.
but at 80 to 100, this ain't your first rodeo.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's just a little bit to keep in mind there that this you are picking a character that is actually fairly high up, and
Okay.
with the stack points, with the 8 additional stack points, you could keep this tree going if you wanted to. And I'm going to tell you what those costs are in just a second.
Okay.
I got to go to
Because I
attributes.
I love pickpocketing with this, but if I should, make their branch be more reflective of their actual experience
Experience.
level, then instead of Goon Squad, I'll go into the trafficking branch of stuff.
Okay, pocket one, um, +2 TR to pickpocketing.
I love Mr. Toe Tag right here. If grandma has to come over, she's going to make it up those steps real slow. Real slow. Then she's going to work over your knees.
Fun. Oh shoot, that's what that was. My bad. And squad is can use. Okay, great. So I put your two abilities down. Okay.
Okay.
Um. Yeah. Oh, traits. I'm sorry. These are traits. Oh, I should know my own game terms at this stage. But
Okay, it's been a second. I like with larceny tier one pickpocketing, it says add stealth +1 as a training value when pickpocketing or stealing anything or smaller. This can combine with other bonuses, which is very,
mhm,
very nice.
yep.
Um, and then for professional network crime syndicate branch with Doom Squad, there's so much criminality here. I'm so in love with this.
So something to keep in mind too, and this is something that this is kind of like, again, I look at attributes as being kind of like a good way to start when you're, especially when you're doing the game fresh. But you could black out an entire common trait tree for 25 stack points. You had 38, to start with. So you could have spent 25 of your 38 just to get everything from tier 1 to tier 5 on like the larceny or the thuggery trait tree if you wanted to. In the meantime, what you would be doing, um, if you wanted to spend more, is that if you wanted to unlock a tier 1 common tree or get another tier one of these abilities, you have 8 left over. You could, for 6 stack points, you could technically take a tier 1 in one of the other trees that you have picked that are in criminal, or you could unlock a tier 2 in one of the ones that you've picked for 7.
Wow.
So does that feel interesting at all
Uh,
to you?
yeah, I love the idea of Goon Squad, but I'm going to take a tier two of security protocol
So you're going to go down,
instead.
you're going to go up to tier 2 and go up to security protocol
Yeah.
for on the crime tree, right?
Yeah, just because they're 81 years old doesn't mean that they've been doing this
Okay.
for 81 years.
Right. Okay.
They
So
might
let's
have just got into this in their last sleep.
Perfect. So let's go into tier 2 security protocol. So now you have unlocked that and you have 1 stack point left over. Um, and that feels like a very well rounded character, if I may be so
Yes.
bold.
I like this a lot. And I know that we need an actual age, a name, and a planet of origin. So right now I'm rocking with 81 with things, but if chat is feeling stronger about stuff, anywhere from 81 to 100, I'm open to it. So
And then
if
do
you
you
want
want
to
to
roll a D100 and the first number that we hit within 81 to 100, I think that would be really cool.
do you want to also be from Earth as your
I was
planet of
thinking
origin?
Earth. I mean, unless there's something better to
Nothing's
garner
better. There's
from,
nothing better from it.
let's just
You
do
should be from Earth so
Earth.
you don't know any better about anything. So,
Let's just do Earth,
okay,
you
great.
know?
Now, technically, if we had some more time, which unfortunately I don't, that we would go into the next stage of where I'd actually go and take you into your sleeve. And because you have 2 free tech points to do a sleeve upgrade, you could go and spend two tech points on your sleeve upgrade at the moment. And I'd also be able to basically get you out with a starting package, either the starting package for your gear, or your GM Xander will be able to kind of equip you as necessary. Um, okay, great. 84 done. We'll do it.
84
Thank you,
years
chat.
of age. Love it. Thank you.
Great. This is also
Thank
JB's
you
role,
so
which just makes it easier.
much.
So, do you want to, if you feel like we can do this soon, do you want to pick 2 sleeve upgrades real quick?
Sure thing.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let's like,
Yeah, I'm kind of hitting this out, but this is again, this is a key thing. It's like the book has this all very much laid out, but the key thing to remember is that you're basically building the same character base that everyone would have if they did nothing with the archetypes until the moment in which you start picking DFH age and getting into traits and how you're spending your stack points. That's when all the specialization comes in.
Oh,
All right,
excellent.
let me go into, where are you? Modifying gears, devices, sleeve upgrades. Great, synthetic sleeves. I'm going to read them off to you, and
Okay. Because
like
I literally hit out of it and I don't know the what's the page number for it?
262.
Thank you. But yes,
And
please go ahead.
I'll read it off for chat so they can hear it as well too. So
Yes.
you can have an optic augment. All right. You can have a carbon fiber skeletal structure. You have a cybernetic limb, an Oni implant, a biojack, reinforced dermis, bestial dermis, concealment, a bestial appendage, a bestial upgrade, data coil, subdermal plating, or an end wire. End wires are um, they're basically firewalls against DHF intrusion. So
Mm,
it helps you resist things like interrogation or dipping. Basically, it's kind of putting it's like a firewall for your DHF is what it is.
okay. Are those the options that I have?
Those are the options. Some cost 1. You
N
remember
wire.
you have up
In
to
wire.
two. You have up to two to 10 on it. So you want to do one on the end wire?
In wire.
Okay, great. So you're going to lose D6 ego points, and we're going to put an end wire in on you. Okay.
Let's do it.
End wire +2 difficulty. If someone could roll D6 to lose Markeia's ego points, that'd be great.
Roll low, y'all. 4. Okay,
Okay.
4.
Losing 4 ego
That's
points.
fine. That's fine.
Great. Now you get to pick one more tech point.
Okay. Well, we did the end wire, so we're gonna do something that's more physically enjoyable. So, bestial dermis.
Wow, bestial dermis. Okay. That is a price level 2. Ooh,
Do I not
okay.
have enough? If I don't, I'll do something else.
I think since you're already in deferral by a
Okay.
huge amount,
Okay.
I'm gonna say probably you can't afford bestial
Okay. Should
dermis.
I stick to the level 1 stuff?
You should stick to the level
I'll
1
stick to the level
stuff.
1 stuff.
You could have an appendage if you wish.
Yeah, I like the cybernetic limb. Oh, no, no, that's level 2. I'm sorry.
Nope.
I cannot afford that at this. Let's see. I have a mid-level synth sleeve. Yes.
Yep.
Then I'll take Biojack, which is synth sleeve only.
Oh, these are sleeve augments. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm just looking at like, wow, I didn't realize synthetic sleeve. Yeah, upgrading a synthetic sleeve. Yeah, you can technically do all these things. So you're doing a biojack. Okay, great.
I will do a Biojack.
Okay, great. So you have a biojack. Um, that data cable speaking directly into a native processor on it is able to use their own DHF and sleeve as a data processor for linked devices. Plugging into a terminal directly will give you, yeah, can transfer their DHF without using another transfer medium. Okay, can replenish power from a normal terminal.
Oh,
Chat wants to give you a tail.
that
Unfortunately, I
wants to
think
give me a tail. I love a tail. That'd be awesome.
actually it does say
I
no.
could
There's
be
no
like a
prerequisite.
rocket. I could be a rocket character. I could be Rocket
If you want, here's the
from
deal: the
Marvel.
bestial appendage. If you want an appendage, you can take an appendage, and if you want to go there, that's like, it's yeah. An unarmed character will not suffer penalties for being unarmed. So technically, they would like be claws, or they're usually like arm stuff, right?
Yeah.
Is or because they're in this circumstance, you having a tail is going to be cosmetic. If you want a tail anyway, since that's a cosmetic upgrade, you could just do that and just pay for it. It's not a very technical thing to have a tail. You're going to lose ego points for it because that's just what it is.
Well,
But it's not.
I've already lost ego points.
Oh,
I
you're gonna
guess
is it,
I'm okay with my Biojack, but as
but it's
soon as I
part of your
have
game
some,
when you play with
as soon as
Xander.
I
If you
have some money, then it's like
Yeah, you can go
that
for it.
are like a tail that can grab onto something, even if
See,
it's like lightly grab onto something.
see, I'm sure there will be plenty of off-market sleeve upgrades that could probably make that work for you, because guaranteed in the world of altered carbon, there's going to be a lot of like, be a lot of like, what's the Mad Cats. There'll be plenty of like Mad Cat style sleeve upgrades that are just there,
Yeah,
that are just for fun.
I like
And
that. Get a cheetah print.
yeah, it's all of that stuff is definitely there, because that's the thing. The only thing to keep in mind, and remember this, because you're a criminal, right? And the part of this is like, how obvious do you want to be?
Mhm. Obvious enough but also they never see me coming.
Okay. All right. Good luck. All right.
Well,
I'm
with
putting.
my Biojack and my N wire, we'll go from there and we'll
Okay.
see.
Can check in. I'm telling you, I think it's awesome. If you want to go with the tail, great. Absolutely go for it. I'm just letting you know you're gonna be that person with the tail when they describe you to the cops. Just letting you know. So
Hey, there's pants for that.
This is going to be looking like you're carrying a giant poop with you, just holding, just having to stuff that whole tail in there to hide it. So,
If people are looking at my butt, that's on them, not on me.
okay, great. So I got both of those elements and you spent both of your tech upgrades. All right.
Okay.
Both of your tech points are done.
Mhm.
We'll work on your damage threshold and other things. I do unfortunately have to take off. I'm an old man and it is my bedtime.
Yeah, no.
So,
We went a little bit longer than we expected to. A lot longer than we expected to. This is just one of those things where we'll have to like wrap this up uh offline, but you will be able to see the full character with their stats when we are able to visit on this upcoming Tuesday, where we do Hunters Presents Altered Carbon, and we're doing the supplemental that we have not announced just yet, but you will be able to see that in all of its glory, or what we will show of it on Tuesday. That is 6 p.m. PT. Ivan,
I'm looking forward to your 84-year-old Betty White cat girl that you want to see in the world. That's basically what I'm
that's
seeing from Lauren.
that's what we're bringing.
Yeah,
That's what we're bringing into the world.
cool. Cool, 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 cool.
84-year
Uh,
old Betty White cat girl, who's a total criminal. Ivan, thank you so much for joining us for this stream.
it's my
I
pleasure.
know we went longer than we meant to, but we are so happy to have you here.
Yeah, you got it. It's good. I think we're allowed. So have an easy evening. Thank you everyone for hanging out. We'll see you on more Hunters Gathering, more cool stuff that's happening on Tuesdays. We're excited that you've all decided to join us and keep to spread the word. Let people know what we're doing. We have some cool stuff coming up that we are currently in the process of putting together. So we don't want to spoil anything too yet, just in case everything breaks. But right now, we're on the trajectory to do some really innovative stuff in the TTRPG space. So let people know if they want to go check out the Altered Carbon RPG, they can come over to us, click a follow, easy peasy, right?
Yeah, following is easy. If you want to subscribe, we love you. Just do
Love you.
it. Yeah, we've got those different tiers of subscription that we already did before. Ninja Cowboy is my favorite, but
Yep.
like Ninja
Yep.
Cowboy.
Dinosaur Assassin. Let's get it
But
out.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Keeping in mind that in September, Tuesdays and Fridays, we will be 6 p.m. Pacific time for both of those shows. Our campaign of Altered Carbon will be on Tuesdays at 6, and then here with Hunters Gathering for us, like talking about that and all things like behind the games, including having a musical act with Jason Charles Miller coming up this Friday,
Woo!
6 p.m. PT. So, yes, love and adore y'all. Thank you so much for helping me build my character and see her in her full glory this upcoming Tuesday. Until then, ah, just be well, be safe, be sane, keep sane, and we adore you.